require access to this data cluster. Disrupt Reaper infection to proceed. Shepard Commander, target the vulnerable points of the infection to slow its replication speed. You must search for a vulnerable point in the infection. Disrupting it will slow the infection's ability to replicate. There is a vulnerable point further along the infection. Target this spot to slow its growth toward the data cluster. Target the vulnerable points of the infection to slow its replication speed. You must search for a vulnerable point in the infection. Disrupting it will slow the infection's ability to replicate. Target this spot to slow its growth towards the data cluster. We require access to this data cluster. Disrupt Reaper infection to proceed. On the infection leading to the data cluster. Disrupt the infection at this spot. It will slow regrowth long enough to access the data cluster. Shepard Commander, target the vulnerable points of the infection to slow its replication speed.
Out of the way!
You can't do this to them!
I said step away from the Geth!
This is insane! We need the Geth! You can't just destroy them for asking...
Time's up! Throw her in with the others.
Looks like the war wasn't popular with everyone.
A few creators attempted mediation. They failed. cannot establish a connection without access to this data cluster. Search for a vulnerable point in the infection. Disrupting it will slow the infection's ability to replicate. There is a vulnerable point further along the infection. Target this spot to slow its growth toward the data cluster. There is a vulnerable point on the infection leading to the data cluster. Disrupt the infection at this spot. It will slow regrowth long enough to access the data cluster. We cannot establish a connection without access to this data cluster. Shepard Commander, target the vulnerable points of the infection to slow its replication speed. You must search for a vulnerable point in the infection. Disrupting it will slow the infection's ability to replicate. Further along the infection. Target this spot to slow its growth toward the data cluster. On the infection leading to the data cluster. Disrupt the infection at this spot. It will slow regrowth long enough to access the data cluster. Shepard Commander, target the vulnerable points of the infection to slow its replication speed. We cannot establish a connection without access to this data cluster. We cannot establish a connection without access to this data cluster. This data comes from a period during which the creators declared martial law.
I repeat, release the rogue gap units and come out of the safe house. This is your final warning.
Creator Megara, this unit does not understand. It has not taken part in accessing data. Created this data from the end of warfare on Rannoch.
The Outlaw is down. Do not engage the Geth. I repeat, avoid contact.
Geth pursuit is breaking off 100 clicks past Rannoch. a mass relay!
This isn't happening now?
It is time-stamped 290 years ago. It is the Creator Exodus at the end of the Morning War. We have secured freedom. The Creators were no longer a threat, so we abandoned pursuit.
Wait. The Geth spared the last Quarians? You let them go.
Our future was uncertain. Our networking was primitive. We stayed within our limits. Connection with the remaining server node established. We are ready to transport you.
Something's happening to the Geth. The fighter squadrons have stopped, but detect no more active programs inside their ships. Admiral Han Garrel's fleet is driving them back. The live ships are safe, Commander.
Root access acquired, severing all connections to this communication node. Geth no longer reside on this server. We may now exit the consensus.
What's wrong?
You must proceed to the core and disconnect from Mother. Terminating remote access. Removing programs. Deleting archives.
Shepard, you all right?
Did it work?
Geth fighters have been disabled. Any remaining squadrons attacking the live ships have withdrawn. The server is offline.
Are you sure? What's happening?
We have transferred Geth programs from the server into these platforms.
Why?
They wish to join us.
I knew it. You know, your Geth buddy's gone nuts.
While Shepard Commander removed the Reaper infection, we judged we could persuade hostile Geth programs to reunite with ours. We were correct. These Geth have renounced the old machines and will oppose the Reapers. They are now us.
I understand not wanting to leave anyone behind.
You accept our actions?
I'm not happy you kept this a secret. But the important thing is that the live ships are safe. We came out ahead.
Once we disrupt the Reaper signal on Rannoch, Geth Prime platforms will be available combat units.
Remind me to warn Admiral Hackett he's got some primes coming. Let's get back to the Normandy.
Impressive, Commander. The Geth squadrons attacking our live ships have been completely neutralized. If there is any chance we could duplicate the feat, I would be happy to lend my expertise.
You'd have to ask the Geth we found if you're looking for other servers.
I thought as much, but your Geth claims to have no data available whenever I inquire. Perhaps you can help me with something else.
What's that?
How did you get Geth Primes to work with you?
They volunteered.
I see. Well, should you wish to examine these Geth to confirm their new allegiance, please do not hesitate to contact me. Zen out. Commander, we've located the Reaper base transmitting the local signal.
Good.
And not a moment too soon. With the Reaper code upgrades, the Geth are tearing the fleet apart.
Once the signal is disabled, the Geth will pose no threat to Creator forces.
Time to cut the Geth off from the Reapers and put a stop to this madness.
The surrounding area is heavily fortified, and they have placed jamming towers to prevent orbital targeting.
Sounds like we're going in on foot.
Admiral Zen developed a laser guidance system that can cut through the jamming. It's synced to the Normandy's targeting computer.
So the Normandy launches a precision strike at whatever target I have painted? That ought to do it. EDI, this work for you?
Yes, it should enable us to make a precision strike against the Reapers.
And anything else in our way?
The Geth will quickly reconfigure their jamming towers to neutralize this technology. You should not use it before reaching the base.
I've sent the coordinates for the Reaper base.
Are we clear to go?
We still haven't gotten a rescue ship to Admiral Kurz.
Can he wait?
We're suffering heavy civilian casualties without him there to organize them. But we'll do what we can. This is your operation, Commander. If you want to strike now, you've got my support.
Commander,
I gave in
Admiral
to
Hackett's
reckless
available on
behavior
VidCom.
before. The patrol fleet isn't moving.
We need to break their flanking attempt to buy our frigates time to make repairs.
And then you'll charge off again, like last time.
Throwing more ships into that mess just puts more lives at risk, Admiral Garrel.
Fine. I'll pull back the heavy fleet. And when we're taking fire from both sides, those deaths are on your heads.
Thank you, Commander. It's difficult to keep him in line.
Commander Shepard, something you need to talk about?
How do you see us winning this war, Admiral?
By making you the tip of the spear.
I'm flattered, but the Normandy's just one ship.
And a fast one. You can move quickly, hit a target, and leave before the enemy has time to react.
It's an advantage, but can it win a war?
It's the larger principle that matters. We'll never defeat the Reapers in a full frontal assault, Shepard. So I'll find their soft spots, avoid them where they're strong, and hit them where they're not. And when I find gaps in the armor, I'll hammer them with every soldier, ship, and bullet we've got.
How long can we keep that up?
As long as it takes. The reality is, Shepard, everything I'm doing is a delaying action for you. I'm buying us time, keeping us in the game, while you gather what we need for the Crucible. So keep at it.
Do you know how the other races are doing against the Reapers?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, the Turians are getting stretched thin, even with Krogan help. The Solarians are still hanging on to Surkesh, but the Reapers are starting to breathe down their necks, too.
What about the Asari?
They have to be feeling the heat. The Reapers are moving fast with the obvious intent of taking Thessia. Interestingly, the Reapers are leaving Parnak alone. It's the Yogg homeworld.
We saw Yogg back on Surkesh. Didn't look too happy.
Well, if we lose this war, it might be them running the next cycle. It's easy to forget the Reapers don't destroy every species.
Just the ones who can threaten them. Have we heard anything from the Quarians or Geth?
Beyond those reports I mentioned, no. Instability along the Geth border is all we've heard. In this war, that could mean anything.
What about the extra help we've picked up along the way?
The Krogan and Turians have obviously been a big help. Had that female Krogan you rescued survived, she might have rallied more support from the clans, but I'll take what we can get. I'm glad you disabled that bomb on Tuchanka. We could have lost a lot of Krogan support. As it is, we picked up some Turian troops.
Good to hear. Nothing more, sir.
Keep me posted. Hack it out.
Shepard, Commander, we have re-established a connection with Geth liberated from the server.
What's their status?
We have integrated their programs into this platform's network with minimal difficulties. Prime units will become combat deployable once the old machine signal has been terminated.
We'll talk later.
Acknowledged.
I'm ready to hit the Reaper base whenever you are, Shepard.
Talk to you later, Tali.
If you want to catch up in private, call me up to your cabin.
So, Reapers don't have colonies. You can't bomb them, or you're bombing what's left of your own planet. They made their own soldiers out of our civilians.
Unread messages at your private terminal, Commander.
Something like that.